Hey Aries, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning into your X reading. I hope you're all well, happy, and feeling amazing. Thank you for bringing your beautiful energy, your support and love to Soul Embers. I appreciate you. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Andrea. I hope you find a message within this reading helpful and you choose to stick around for the journey. So the X reading will resonate with those of you that either are feeling really hooked on your ex. You know, you want to heal, release and let them go, but you're finding yourself living in the past, revisiting memories, obsessing, replaying, and you just want to be done with that and embrace future love. Hopefully I can pull out some guidance that will help you work through that space. Others of you may be wanting to reconnect with your ex and you're feeling a little bit uncertain as to whether or not it's the best move for you, whether their intentions are what they say they are. Hopefully I can pull out some guidance that will give you the clarity that you need to make the best decision for yourself. And then there are those of us that, you know, we are feeling and holding on to feelings of resentment and anger because of the injustice that was caused by an ex. And we're here because basically we want to make sure they get their justice, right? I've been there. I'm not taking myself out of that equation. Hopefully I can pull out some messages for you guys that will allow the divine to just do its thing so you guys can release that anger and that resentment and open yourself up to new love in a healthy way. All right, guys, let's jump into it and let's have a look, Aries. First of all, who am I connecting with? How can I be of service to you today? What's the message for my beautiful Aries out there? Power. No surprise. You guys are a powerhouse. You have the power within you to create a change. Okay, I'm going to hold this card up for you, and immediately what I think about are the solar plexus, right? Even the color of the card very, very much resembles the solar plexus. And for those of you that don't know much about the chakras, you know, it's situated in the center of the body. And with the solar plexus, we generally act on impulse such as desire, and a lot of our personality is formed in this space, let's say. It has a feeling that some of you may have acted on impulse, reactive. There is a reactive energy to this, and that can apply to either yourself or your ex, but something unfolded and it was almost like you weren't, or they weren't able to think things through objectively. They acted on impulse and it caused a massive, massive rift between you. Now with this, there's a lot of, I'm sensing there's a lot of things that because of that, you can't take what happened back. You can't change the past, let's say. And it has kind of like this bitter taste in your mouth. But the truth is, Aries, that and this is really interesting. I came to think of this the other day. When we think about our past and we think, you know, you can't change the past, we often say that. But I really do believe it is a matter of perception, okay? Because depending on what our perspective is, our perception of the events that took place can change. So I'm asking you to consider this. As you grow, as you heal, as you release ego, as you learn and gain a new vantage point, your perception changes and you have a different understanding of why you did certain things and why they may have done certain things. And that changes the reality of what happened in the past based on your new perception. So is it that you can't change the past? Because what the card is saying to you here is you have the power within you to create a change. So is this a matter of perception? Is this a matter of how you are, you know, how you perceived the events to have taken place, what control you had or didn't have at that time, and how you reacted as a result. I'm still feeling there is an element of injustice here, and that may not change on a deep moral ground for you. You know, there are some things that we uphold very highly, and they don't change as a matter of perception, as a matter of perspective, or no matter what vantage point you have. They are part of our being and our, you know, the core of ourselves, our true authentic self. However, how you choose to let it affect your present world determines how you are going to receive your future. And if there is something here, Aries, that is causing you a block, there is a resistance, let's say, or you don't feel this sense of wholeness. You don't feel that things are flowing. You feel that you need to be, you know, really firm on certain things and dominate in certain areas. Then maybe this is telling you that it's time to expand that, because there's a lot of power, let's say, behind that, you know, headstrongness that you might have at the moment when it comes to this situation. Or if you're not reconnecting with your ex, the healing process, or how you welcome new love into your life also. There is this element that needs to be expanded in order to welcome love in a way that you want it to be reciprocated, rather than sitting in the frequency of what you don't want to happen or what has happened. Sitting in the frequency of how it feels when you do have what you want, right? I hope that makes sense to you. I'm sure those that resonate with that message will understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to pop that card there, and feel free to take a screenshot of that, and you can reflect on that card and see how the colors, how that message makes you feel, what thoughts it creates within you, and you can further explore that space, right? All right, so let's jump into it and let's break this down and let's have a look and see in a little bit more detail what this is about. It's almost like you are not budging. You are not taking the next step. You feel that you need to stand your ground and protect your kingdom. Okay, so you're standing at the gate with your armor on, and you're waiting, you're protecting your kingdom being the emotions that have, you know, endured some trauma, that you felt hurt, that may still be vulnerable, and you feel exposed and that need to heal. And so as a result, you might not be making any move whatsoever. As far as you're concerned, you're waiting for them to take the step, and you're waiting for results. But when I look at this card for you, Aries, what I think about is, you know, this guy here, he's put in enough to see what, you know, what he's going. For example, he's invested enough. Is it a he or a she? It looks like a he. It doesn't really matter what it is, he or she, they. Invested enough, and now it's time to see whether these investments are going to actually reap a reward. Thing is that you can only see one particular way. This guy is rooted to the ground. This guy can't move. Okay, he can't go left, he can't go right. There's only a certain sphere around him that he can see. So there is this element of flexibility that I feel needs to be really, really cultivated here, so that you can see things from a different perspective that will allow you to release certain things that are holding you back and blocking this flow of energy that you are desiring, so that you can get the results that you are awaiting. Okay. What's the deal with this person? What's the deal with this ex? Sorry. You can hardly see that card, so I'm just going to move everything over in just a moment. How's that? Let me just move my little chakra tower over there. Move that there, move that there, and move that there. Beautiful. So the person that you're connecting with, this ex, there is this feeling that they really want to receive. It's about receiving love, and it being unconditional, and being accepted exactly how they are. And they can then feel that they can be themselves, and they can take from that love, and they can cultivate that, and you know, really bring something to fruition in the environment. You are the one that is planting the seeds, and you're waiting for results. They're the one that is taking those results, and they are, you know, they're constantly the one basically that is ready to receive. You're always the one that was making that first step, that was taking that risk. And they seem to be the one that would only reciprocate based on what was given. And so it always felt like you always had to instigate, you always had to initiate, and it didn't feel right to you. Yeah, ego is okay. So I'm getting the picture here. You know, the reason why this thing ended is because their desire to be right far outweighed their desire to, it overtook everything. The desire to be right, the desire to one up, the desire to be in control was like their weapon that protected them from taking the risk and being vulnerable, and as a result being hurt. So what they would do is they would never instigate, and you always felt like you had to put yourself out there, and you had to continue to invest in order to keep this going. And the minute you would pull back your energy, they would stop putting in an effort, and it became extremely tiring. And so now they pushed it one step too far, Aries, and you know what? They gambled and they freaking lost, because they're, you know, it's almost like they were trying to restore justice in their life from past experiences through your relationship. They bought all their, all their injustices from different friendships, different partnerships, their family and their community and their friends, and they brought it all into this one relationship. So you were in a relationship basically with everything they had experienced and all those injustices, and they were trying to claim the justice through you, through this one person, because you were going to be the closest one to them. And because of that, they were in protection mode, but they lost because they failed to see what you were actually giving, and as a result of not reciprocating, they lost. You pulled back your energy, and now you know what? They are definitely feeling your loss. They are in their freaking feelings. Really in their feelings, and their pride is hurt and their ego is hurt. And the reason why their pride and ego is hurt, Aries, is because now the only way that anything can be salvaged from this situation is if they take responsibility, they take ownership, and they put boundaries in place that will allow them to separate you from their past experiences. So it's almost like they need to change. They need to basically accept what has happened in their past in order to embrace their future, and their future is you. So they have to come to terms with that. And there is a whole element of humbleness that needs to take place here. It's a spiritual journey, basically. There's a lot of work for this person to do to get to that point. But the first starting point for them is losing as a result of their, I would call it, desire to protect and be right, basically. Because if they're wrong, then it means all that energy that they put in to their past situations and, a dogmatic approach that they may have, they could have been wrong, and they need to take responsibility for that. And so they may have been wrong in many different cycles with many different people. So there's a lot of work here that needs to be done with them. And so they want to keep receiving love, but they don't know what to do with that and grow it. All they know to do is store it and keep it within themselves so that they can feel safe. But they never end up feeling safe, right? I hope that connects with you. Meanwhile, you're like, you know what? I'm over this. I'm not fighting. I'm not going to be having these petty arguments. I'm not going to be fighting over choosing you, over you choosing me, over you making an effort. I'm not going to be, it was almost like nitpicking. And it just chips away at the love. It chips away at what we're trying to build. And I guess what you're here for today is, I feel that Aries that I'm connecting with today are actually interested to know whether or not this person has seen the light, has acknowledged the effort you put in, and whether or not they're actually going to reach out. And if that's that possibility. And I can see here that they definitely are going through a very challenging time. And it's a time where they can really learn from. They're in the energy at the moment where they can meet every challenge of their reality and face and take responsibility, but it's whether or not they're ready and equipped to take that step. Okay, so that they can bring back the equilibrium between the two of you. So, I can see that they're definitely regretful. They're definitely in their feelings, Aries. Whether or not they're going to reach out, though, at this time, I can see that there's still a little bit of work to be done here. Yes. There's still quite a bit of work that needs to be done here before they can actually see the light. To get from the 3 to the 10, it's a very slow moving process. Question is, are you willing to invest? Because you're awaiting these results. You're awaiting this 10 of Pentacles. They're working hard on trying to figure out themselves. This is where they're currently at. So there is a whole element here of them really exploring the different aspects of themselves that they identify with, what they don't identify with, having to take responsibility of what doesn't work so that they can work on what they do enjoy. They really do want to work this out with you, but it's going to be a slow process before you guys can actually hit this off the ground. This is why I say to you that they are in this, that they need fuel that will allow them to keep going on this journey. And that's what you've been providing them with. You've been giving them the fuel that they've needed to keep going towards their self-discovery. Okay, and so it's frustrating for you, Aries, because you can see that they may not have bad intentions, but what you see is you can see a lot further than they can, and that's what makes this frustrating. So there is an imbalance here definitely between reciprocation, giving and receiving, and the two polarities. And at this point you have been the pursuing polarity, and so now you want to switch that up and become the receiving polarity. And while there is disappointment and desire, there isn't enough magnetism on this side to actually shift this person into motion and get the fuel from other sources so that they can actually work towards you in a way that fuels both of you, not just one of you, right? And Spirit's guidance for you on this one, actually, before I pull that card out, I might just pull out, what energy do you need to surrender on Spirit's guidance here? Do you need to surrender so that you can start, if you do want to come back into reconciliation with this person, or you do want them to reach out, so you can put certain things to rest, so you can say what you need to say and be heard in a way and understood in a way that you desire. What energy do you need to surrender to create that magnetism that's required for this to shift? There we go. Surrender defensiveness. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm actually not surprised. You know, defensiveness is a sign of weakness. To communicate in a more empowered way, stay centered and hear someone out. Then offer a clear, non-defensive response. I'm going to hold this up for you. Feel free to take a screenshot. But you know what is interesting here? What I'm finding is I'm seeing a lot of these yellow colors again. You know, this is again with the solar plexus very closely connected here, Aries. You know, again, defensiveness is one of, you know, when imbalanced, the solar plexus, temper, anger, very sensitive to criticism and fearing rejection, because guess what, the more you've tried and they haven't reciprocated when you've pulled back, it's almost like you've received a form of you know, rejection. And so now Spirit is saying it's time to regain this control. It's time to rebalance that space, your solar plexus, okay, to balance out your emotional space, your head space, and rather than act from a place of what's the word I'm looking for, impulse and desire, because this might be one of those situations where there's a lot of desire and, you know, you fall into the trap of, you know, whether it be sleeping together, reconnecting with them, or, you know, even when they reach out and you think, no, I'm not going to I'm not going to entertain certain discussions, you end up doing that. It's that type of energy, really taking control of that and determining what's right for you and what's not so right for you. Spirit wants you to know that you have the power to do that, to create that change. You already have that within you, okay? And the way to do that is surrender the defensiveness. You can hear them out, and then you could respond from a space of feeling and what feels right or doesn't feel right. You know, rather than but you said, but you did, and this and that. It allows you to maintain your energy, stay within your own body, and rather than create more tension, so that you can hear the response that you want by saying, but you said this, and why did you do this? Say, the certain situations, for example, made me feel this way. It's just a suggestion, guys. And that's a complete sentence. You don't have to ask them to fix anything. You're just telling them how they made you feel. What else could you do based on the solar plexus? You know, some essential oils that are really helpful with the solar plexus are chamomile, lemon, ylang ylang is another one, thyme as well. Some crystals could be, tiger's eye, citrine, yellow topaz, the ones I can think of off the top of my head, and go with the flow. So maybe put on some frequency music for the solar plexus and imagine a flow of energy through all your body centers. That might also be helpful for you in coming up with solutions, calming yourself and thinking about ways that you can approach this from a different vantage point without being so rooted, and respond in ways that are non-defensive. You do have the power, Aries. All right, guys, I hope you found that helpful. If this is something that resonates with you, please do comment below. I love reading your comments. And if this is something that you are finding challenging working through and you'd like to work through it, on finding ways to release this defensiveness and the control certain things have over you, feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you work through that. Have a wonderful week. Bye, Aries.